Hello everybody, welcome. This is going to be a crash course just to show you how to set up, run a Claude code, get your code. Once you have your code, how to set it up in VS Code, where to get inspiration from. In fact, just to run your first prompt to get the code and have a simple and basic website running. And the next video, I'm also going to show you how to host it online for those who are still not getting the hand of it. So this is basically the prompt. I've given you all these materials already. It's in the group. If you care to check, I typed everything out. So when I'm starting my work, I know what I want to build. So I discuss as much and give as much details to the AI that will give it an idea of what I'm trying to achieve. So why am I using vanilla HTML? I think I've explained this, but it's a crash course. Vanilla HTML is a basic building block for websites. All right. So you tell the site you want vanilla HTML, be very specific, and tell it what the site is going to be about, and how the various sections will come out. I made a number of typing mistakes, but since AI is very good at predicting what you're trying to say, it will catch all those mistakes as well. So just read through the prompt I gave. If you don't understand anything, you can ask in the group and I'll be there to ask you. So I'm going to have a more detailed video, but just use this prompt to generate whatever you want to generate. I also included that I'm going to add some social media to it. The footer should have 3 social media icons. So maybe for the website, you want the social media to have more than that, or what social media you want it to have. You can also determine that as well. Then we also spoke about brand identity, how we want to brand it and all of that. Then one thing you should always know is about mobile responsiveness. Claude sometimes will not make a site mobile responsive if you do not tell it. So always ensure that to tell it that the site should be mobile responsive. Mobile responsive means if you are viewing the device on a tablet, on a phone, it should be viewed in the right way, which makes it different from when you view it from a desktop or a PC. All right. So I went back again to tell it to also separate the files. This is to help me to be able to reuse the files. Spoke about in class, we mentioned about modularization, to have the file modularized. And if you look up, I also attached a file. This attachment, you can take a screenshot of any site. In the full course of this particular training, subsequent week, I'm going to show you how to take someone's site and replicate it, or use part of the site to build yours. In the initial document I've given you another site where someone has listed all components of a web page. So there's something about a web page you don't understand. The person has done all of that already. So if you care to look at the document, you'll find it there. Since we are building an artist website, this is where we got the inspiration from. But I didn't use this video because the hero section contains a video. Having a video in your website takes a lot of bandwidth or data bundle. So, but during the class, we went through the website. We looked at some of the things we want. The site is not loading. Okay, it's now loading now. We told our AI, if you look at the prompt we wrote, we told our AI to have a similar section as this. So look at the prompt and look at this website as well. All right, so it's kehindewiley.com. So visit this website and look at it, because that's what we use for our inspiration. All right, so we had exhibition section. We took, I think that's the only part we took. Then we also took, I think, this part as well, was the same thing, but we took the footer. So I took a screenshot. I used my sniping tool and I took a screenshot of the footer. All right, this is why you have to know what each segment of your website is called. So the bottom part of website is called the footer. So I just took a screenshot. I used my sniping tool. I come this way and I sniped this part. So I have this. So it contains the Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and a brand identity, then the person's name. So when you see the virtual website, you see that the footer looks the same. So this is how you can just take a screenshot of a website and the AI should be able to replicate it for you. So I took the screenshot and I attached it to the prompt that I sent. That's the attachment you are looking at in the prompt. So that's the attachment you have here in the prompt. So once you drop all this information in there, you drop the image, you be as detailed as possible. So, but because I really don't know what the site will entail, I told it let's have further discussion on the site. When you do that, it helps you to get more detailed information. So I got my prompt. So this is the feedback I got. The AI. So I read through, I looked at what I want, what I don't want, what I'm happy with, or what I'm not happy with. So I took some of the points, I brought it back, then I told it what should happen next. Then I also gave it a brand name as well because of the prompt. So I answered these last questions. So because the AI asked me further question, I had to answer these last questions. And like I mentioned in the class, if you don't have an answer to the question, just tell it that use the best approach. That's what I do. So the AI went back again and gave me the layer of the file structure, how the website will be structured. So this is a single page application, kind of. There's only one page and you can jump from one section to the other. So this is a flow, so I have a visual. I also told it to use, for further branding, I told it to use Ghana colors. All right. I don't know why I wrote that, but I told it to use Ghana colors in terms of the color branding. So it's going to incorporate all of that. Then it gave me the file structure. So this is the root directory. Then in the root directory, we have our main file. Then this means a folder. So we have a folder called CSS. Then in that folder, we'll have a style.css. Then we'll go back to the root again. We have a JS folder. Then in that JS folder, we have main.js. Then in our root directory, once again, we have the image folder. That's where we'll put our image and other assets that we want to put in there. So it could be a PDF or anything. Everything goes into that folder. This is what the folder looks like on the desktop. And this is what it looks like on VS Code. So to get it on VS Code, you go to File, you go to Open Folder, and navigate to where the folder is and open it and to come on your VS Code. So we're not using the VS Code AI, so I can close this for now. So this is what the file looks like. That's the folder name. I've arranged all the files and everything. Back on our Claude. So after the confirmation, it asks another question again about how should we put our brand name for this particular website we are building. Then it gave me some options and I chose use ZK. And when you put something in inverted comma like this, it sticks strictly to what you've written in it. So it doesn't make any changes, it doesn't correct anything. So take note of that. Then I felt that I was satisfied with all the back and forth. Then I told it, let's proceed with the code generation. So Claude took its time and generated Claude took its time and generated all the code, and it gave me the 3 files. So we just need 3 files for this because we're building just a single page, just a one page, and in a vanilla format. All right. So it told me that then it reminded me of the file structure again, which we just went through. And so yeah, that is it. So it gave me a brief summary of what it has done, and that's it. So it gave me my code. Back on the VS Code, I copied. Let me go back and show you. So you can just take the files and dump it in the right folder, but in this case, I think in this case you can only copy and paste. So you click on the code, you come here. So I've clicked on index HTML code or artifact. Then you come here where you have copy on your top right corner. Then you copy the code. You come to your VS Code. You click on where you've created a file, index.html, and you paste the code here. So I already have the code pasted. So you paste the code here. Then you go back and repeat the same process. You come once again, you switch over, you click on the CSS style sheets file. This is a styling sheet. Once again, top right corner, you copy the code. You switch over to your VS Code. You go to the I'm on the left hand side right now. You click on the CSS folder, it's open, and give it a style sheet. We created all this earlier. Click on the style. So to create folder, this is where you create the folder. This one, new folder. To create a file, this is where you create the file. So you click on it, name it appropriately. I always like copying and pasting the name so I don't make any mistake. So you click on the CSS file. You have your then this space open, and you paste your code. So you do the same thing and you repeat it as well. If you have any images, you go to the folder, you come to the main folder, you open the folder, and you paste all your images here. So by pasting your images here, you'll be able to have access to them. You have the folder, you have the pictures in the folder here, so you can call them in your code editor. Next, once you have all the files set up, always try and use the VS Code Go Live. It's a live engine that simulates the web environment. So you click on the Go Live. So this is what our site looks like. This is what it eventually gave us. So you now have to, it's even telling you, see that this is the name we chose, Zachary, and behind it is telling us to place a 1600 by 900 picture. That's just a landscape picture. There has to be a picture for the hero section, so to fill up the background. So right now, it's giving us all the placeholders. So I've added my own image based on the first example I did. I'm going to show you how I did that. Then here you scroll down, it's replicated the site, so you can go to that site again where we took our inspiration from to see the same. If we did the same thing, we described this in our prompt, and we said when we hover over the slideshow, it will pause. So if I should move my mouse away, it start moving again. If I put my mouse on it, it start moving, it stop moving. So all these colorful portraits we are seeing here, we have to fill them up with pictures. So that's your assignment, to fill them up. Go into the file, fill them up with the appropriate pictures so that it will change from placeholder and all of that. So this is what the AI generated for us. Then remember the screenshot we took from the inspiration website. It did exactly the same thing, but this time around it made it black instead of white, which is very good. Then you have to change all the text on the site. Then you also have to embed your own social media behind these icons. Now, since some of you might struggle finding the code because it's your first time, you really didn't, this is a crash course. If all these buttons are working, when you click on about, it jumps to the appropriate page. As I said, it's a single pager approach, so it got all of that right as well. All right, so how did I place this image over there? Since I'm not the one that wrote the code, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult finding where the code is. So what I usually do, I come here and I'll copy the text on the web page, Control C, and go to the code editor. So in VS Code, you come to the search, this magnifying glass on the top left corner. You click on the search, then you paste whatever you copied there. It's going to search all the files. It's going to search all the files to find that exact term. Unfortunately, right now, it's not finding it. Let me reduce the number of items in the search, and let's see. Okay, there's a break there, so it has found it. So it's the text obviously is in our index file. So I'm just going to click where it found it. This is what I clicked, and it's opening my index file. Then it's highlighting where the text is. So right now I know the section where that text is from, so I can see the same thing over there. Then just at the bottom there, I can see the image. So this is where the image I placed over there. The placeholder image was there before. So this is where I placed my image. So how do you place your image? If you're using VS Code, like I'm using, I believe other code editor does the same thing. You just click on /. So it's going to read our file. Sometimes it takes a while, so just be patient. It's going to read our root file and give me all that is in the folder. So this is what my folder looks like when we're setting up the project. And remember, we said we're placing all our pictures in assets. So I'm just going to click on assets. Then it's going to give me all the files within the assets. All right, so now I can decide to choose which image I want to place over there in the front end. So I can just choose any one. Once I'm happy what I've chosen, you can also give it an auth, give it a name, portrait of Zachary, or auth be a little bit descriptive. It's what machine will read to understand what image is there. All right, so once you are done with your changes, always remember, once you do a change, there's a white dot showing here. Once you do a change, always do what? Control S. Once you are satisfied with your change, and go back to the web browser. The web browser will refresh itself. So I chose a different image. I couldn't see the images properly. So I used a different image this time around. So the image has changed. So you have to do the same thing for every image placeholder you find in the project or in the document file. So change everything, get your hands dirty, work around it. That's what I did. I did the same approach. I just had to search for sketch. Once again, I probably don't know where this is, where this code for this part of the website is. What do I just do? I'll just come here. I'll just highlight sketch, go to the VS Code. Once again, it's just one page, but let me just show you. This is how you search all the whole file. You put your sketch there. It's going to search the whole project file and look for where the sketch is. It has found it. So that's the H3. That's the sketch section. Or when you're on the file itself, you can click on Control F. Control F only search in the file, that particular file that you are in, to only search that file. So sketch is highlighted anywhere there's sketch in the document. So there are 2 of 2. That means there are 2 places in the document that has sketch. So this is the first one, it's highlighted. This is the second one. So inside the sketch, we want to look for the image that is there. So just look above here. So that's what we have it. The same approach. Once again, let me delete the do it again. So you should know by now, you should know what line of code holds the images. So once again, / you wait a little. My PC is a bit slow. Probably that's why it's doing that. So it gives me the folder, all my folder looks like, all my images are in the assets. I go to click on assets. I wait a little again. Then it gives me all the images there. So I'm looking for the Shatawale image. I click on that. And what do I do when I'm satisfied with my changes? Control save or Control S, sorry. So I switch back. The page is going to refresh itself. Once it's done refreshing, it's still reloading. All right, but it's still going to bring the same image. Okay, so that's basically how to build a simple website, and I believe everybody should have to do this. So do this, play around with it. The code will be in the caption. Get the code, play around everything, change all the pictures in this particular project there to get your hands ready to know what you're doing. So next, I'm going to show you how to upload it to a front end, so you can send your code and have a web page or a domain name instead. Sorry, you can have a domain name for the code and you can share it with your friends and family. See you in the next video.